Hello, everyone. They tell me that when I was born at the doctor's clinic, there was a nurse from the islands who, when she first saw me, rushed to my mother's side and whispered in her ear, you better take care of this one. She's a gator talker. Now, my mama just pushed 2 babies out of her body, still woozy from the medicine and all of the excitement of twins, and she didn't understand what the nurse was saying. So she thought that the nurse said, be careful, she's a later talker. This really concerned my mother, simply for the fact that whenever the Holmeses got together, that there was not 1 second of silence in the room. Everyone was talking. They had conversations, they told stories, they told jokes, there were sermons, there were debates, all kinds of things, and my mother couldn't bear the idea of having a non-talker in the family. So she decided that she needed to take care of that right away. She started reading me stories and telling stories and reading articles and going through word lists. At 9 months old, my mother hired a speech therapist to make sure that I was crying correctly. Fast forward 5 years, I'm in kindergarten. Most little kids received the green flag every day when they went home. I never received a green flag. I received yellow flags and red flags. And then I realized I had mastered the art of conversation. My mother was so proud. The other great thing about being in kindergarten is you get to go on field trips. I was really excited for this next field trip simply because we're going to Gator Country, right outside the city limits of Beaumont, right down on Interstate 10. You know where it is. Now, it was really exciting for me simply because I was going out of town, just right outside the city limits, out of town. But one thing is that I'd never seen a real alligator in person. I knew that I loved them. I saw them on TV. I read about them. I had a stuffed alligator. The thing is that when we got to the Gator Country, I was able to look at the environment, all the ponds and everything else, and I was so excited. They let the little kindergarten kids hold the alligators, and I was able to do that and pet the alligators, and just automatically I knew to say, hello, my name is Regina. I'm in kindergarten. You are so pretty. What's your name? What do you do all day? And it was not to my surprise that the alligator actually spoke back. She said, my name is Allie the alligator. And I just walk around and play in the pond, and I look at the humans whenever they come to Gator Country. I thought, oh, that's so funny. Now, Billy, my classmate, he was always picking on me. So he came up and said, you crazy girl, you know good and well that you are not talking to an alligator. Well, yes, I am. So he attempted to punch at Allie. Now, an adult alligator had seen this whole deal and said, back up, Regina, we're going after Billy. I thought, oh, okay. And the alligator snapped at Billy, and one of the employees at Gator Country saw the incident and called off the field trip. I was very disappointed. I went home and told my parents, and were like, please let me go back to Gator Country, please, I really want to go. Well, for some reason, my mother heard me say, and I was having a good conversation with Allie. You know, Allie is my new friend, Allie the alligator. My mother went into flashback mode. She remembered the nurse from the island saying, take care of this one. She's a gator talker. While I'm begging and pleading, my mother came out of flashback mode, went in a private conversation with my dad. And I was at Gator Country the next weekend. And every weekend after that, for a couple of years, they would drive me back. But then I got a little weary of that. And then it was like once a month, and maybe every other month, and then once a year, and then just occasionally after that. We were growing. I'd gotten my license. I'd drive the Gator Country on my own whenever I wanted to talk to my friend Allie. And we began to grow. I went to college, came back, and I would tell her about all of my ideas and all of my adventures in college, and she'd tell me about all of the things that were happening right there in Gator Country. Well, when we would go and visit, we were able to meet, and I met all of my alligator family. There was Papa Gator, and there was Granny Gator, there was Brother Gator, and there were all the cousin Gators, and there was even Big Ned, the famous alligator. You know, you've heard of him. One thing is, when it was one of those hurricanes, you know, they were coming through the area, you know, in southeast Texas, they have those hurricanes, and they come through. We all had to evacuate. We evacuated to Waco at my Aunt Julia's house, and Gator Country took their alligators to the Mississippi Delta. And there, Brother Gator met a Mississippi alligator. He had fallen in love and had decided that he was going to marry her. All the Gators came back to Gator Country. I came back from Waco, and we talked about all of the things, and they told me how Brother Gator had met his love of his life and that he was going to leave Gator Country and go to the Mississippi Delta and marry his Mississippi alligator. I thought that was so wonderful. But the couple of times that Brother Gator tried to escape, he couldn't. But one day, as I was coming and I was visiting with Allie and her family, she'd have a family now, then we found out that Brother Gator had been successful in leaving Gator Country. And we knew that he had met the love of his life. That was such a wonderful thing to think about as we were driving down the road. And I was driving, and then I arrived at the 40th anniversary of the Texas Storytelling Conference. And in here I saw Jay McLaughlin with a bag on her arm. That was Brother Gator. Now, when you see it, she has all these ribbons and all of the fancy decorations on it. But I know Brother Gator anywhere. That's Brother Gator. Now, Jay, wherever you are, I'm not calling you a gator murderer, but you definitely are an accessory.